Thank you very much. Erin, go ahead and get us kicked off today for today's meeting.
Alrighty, sounds good. Good morning, all. My name is Erin Thusid, and I'm Chief of the Permanency Policy Bureau here at the Department of Social Services. And this morning, we're going to tell you all about an excellent funding opportunity that is called, and it's verbose, Excellence in Family Finding Engagement and Support Program. Colloquially, I think we call it EFFES. Next slide, please. So before you have our agenda today, and if those of you have participated in any of the other funding 101s, our format for today is fairly similar. We'll talk about some of the activities that can be funded. We'll discuss the letter of interest process, the base MOU, timelines, the Exhibit C that specifically will opt you into this funding, allocation letters, invoices, and some of the data reporting requirements, and then we'll make sure you all have a way to get in touch with us and any other announcements that are important to this funding source specifically. Next slide, please. Okay, so the Excellence in Family Finding Engagement Support was established in 2022 as a large effort and endeavor to increase family finding and engagement across California's child welfare probation and tribes to enhance practices and to provide additional supports. And so this funding is specifically for specialized permanency work, including all the culturally responsive work that you all currently do. We hope to see services and supports that are family-centered and trauma-informed, and really just focusing on establishing permanent connections with relatives and extended family members. As you work with us on this specific pot of funding, you'll hear us say kin a lot. And when we say kin, we mean everybody. We mean bio relatives, we mean the teachers, we mean community. We're saying everybody who is important to the young people and their families. For this specific pot of money, there is $7.5 million allocated to tribes and tribal organizations to opt into. Next slide, please. And the activities for which this funding can be used have been dictated by statute, but they're pretty straightforward. So you can use the funding for training of staff on the different family finding and engagement practices or models that the department has lifted up. You can utilize the money to hire folks, to purchase tools to help identify, locate, and engage. Next slide, please. You can use the funding on outreach and engagement. You could use the funding to help you develop your actual plan and to case manage for your families and everybody involved in the child and family team. You use it to remove barriers to establishing or reestablishing positive relationships. We know that sometimes when we're engaging with our family and our community, sometimes reparative work has to be done to repair relationships to ensure that everybody can come to the table and work together. And so the funding can be used for that kind of work. And then sometimes there are models that we have lifted up as a department that are proprietary to some degree, and this funding can be used to hire folks to come in and to teach these models or help you embed specific models into your organization and your community, if that's what you so desire. There really is a solid amount of flexibility, and more so than anything, we just want to get you all opted in to get the money flowing your way, to utilize it to support your tribe and your community and the families that you all have been working with for a very long time at this point. Next slide, please. Oh, that's done with me. Any questions before I hand this off to Val? Acknowledging a lot more information to flow, but if there's anything bubbling up right now, feel free to come off mute or drop in the chat. Let me pull up the chat. Okay, and then, okay, I'm seeing nothing. Val, I'm gonna hand it over to you. Oh, did I hear somebody? I'm sorry. Okay, Val.
Okay, so as we move along, feel free to put your question in the chat, ask us to back up. It's okay. We fully engage in this process and really like when people ask the questions as we go along, because it's clear that all of us have questions, and sometimes when we ask the question, we've asked it for other people as well. So really, feel free to ask any questions that you have. And I see one in the chat, Aaron, and that one is, are there any suggested trainers or technical assistants for implementation?
The answer is yes and yes. And Whitney, would it be okay if you allow us to kind of move through the slides? Because we're going to get there. Would that be okay with you? Okay, go ahead, Val.
You're on mute,
You're on
Valerie.
mute, Val.
I'm just talking away. Let's try it again. There are two ways. The first way to get involved in this program is submit your letter of interest. There are two ways to do that letter of interest, and that is by sending it on letterhead stating that you intend to opt in, or sending an email stating that you intend to opt in. The timeline for the opt-in, and I apologize, I messed this one up. I do believe this one is by June of 2025. Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrice, please, and also put it into the chat. Aaron, do I have that right?
You are correct.
Okay. We have so many different dates on these things by statute, so every one of them has a different little opt-in date. Next slide. In order to do this, the next slide will walk through what we have to have. And that is a base MOU and an exhibit. So if you are a tribe who has already signed a base MOU for any other program, then you do not need to do a base MOU. If you are a 4E tribe and already have a 4E agreement, you do not have to do a base MOU. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Those are the standards. That base MOU or that 4E agreement is the base MOU. That must be done. The second piece, in order to get an allocation and utilize the funds for this particular program, you must have your Exhibit C signed, right? So there's a process for that. Next slide. In the base MOU, just like it is in the 4E agreement, it has the purpose, the parties, the tribe's responsibility, CDSS responsibility, terms, limit, all of those issues. Next slide as well. That really walk through what's in, okay. There was a 2 for the base MOU, so something got moved. So it'll come up later. You see what's happening on there? I'm sure this was me, so I apologize to all of you. So can you hit the slide that goes to 2 of 2 for MOU?
Try it now.
So
Just a moment. It's freezing, so give me just a second.
okay. I can still talk through it. Really, as we walk through the MOUs, what we are specifically talking about is making sure, thank you, Caitlin, that the MOU is reviewed by your tribe. You will initially get the MOU from the Center for Excellence at DSS. That MOU is a draft for you to review, to look at, to make sure that you understand what it is that's on there, and that for you to have that conversation with us about anything you may have any questions on. When the final version of the document, so that first one won't be the signature one, that's the review document. The final version for signature will come out from our grants MOU intake box. And that one is the one for signature. That must be signed by the tribe authorized signature, which is usually the tribal chair or somebody designated by the tribal chair. Right? Make sure that your emails allow that information to come forward. That will be important part of what we're doing to make sure that we have the information that you need. Then we have the exhibits. So let's go to slide 1 of the exhibits. There we go. So the exhibit for EFFES has the full background, and again, the tribe's responsibility, CDSS's responsibility, points of contact, funding, and all of that. So that is what's in that process for the exhibit. Next slide. This process is the exact same. There should have been a slide 2 for the exhibits. If there's not, we'll move on. But again, for slide 2 and for exhibits, it's identical. You will receive one from the EFFES inbox, and that is the sample of what the agreement is. That is not the one for signature. You'll get the final one from the grants MOU, and that will be the one for signature. Again, we'll need to make sure we have the tribe's authorized signer, and make sure that the emails aren't blocked. Anytime you have a question about that, feel free to reach out to the Center for Excellence at dss.ca.gov for any questions as you're looking at the exhibits. They will help to coordinate all the communication with that.
Val, there was a question from Hoopa Valley. Can we change up the original budget? If so, do we need to obtain approval for the budget changes?
So to clarify, are you saying that you submitted your budget already and you want to update that budget? Yes. Okay. So as you submit your budget, yes, you can put it in, move it forward. We'll walk with you through what the next steps are so that we can move the process along. This allocation is a little different than the other allocations. It is a one-time spending process. So you spend for, I think the last encumbrance is 2027 on this one. So it looks a little different on the budget as well. So work with our team and they will help you walk through the best way to adjust your budget. Next slide. Okay, timelines. So letter of interest due by June 30th. Okay. Next one, the STD 204. That's a process that we have to have in order to make payments. One of the things that we're working on right now is to try to find out for sure, and we'll make sure that as a part of what we send out, we answer the question. The question that we have had before is if you have an STD 204 already for TA or for flexible family supports, if you need another STD 204 for EFFES. And we will get back with you. We think those two work together, unless Erin, you have the answer.
You do not necessarily need another ST204. However, if the payees are different for the different programs, then yes. But if the payees are the same across all your programs, you only need the one. But if they are different, then the answer is yes.
Thank you for that. Very, very helpful. Any questions on that before we continue to move? Okay. MOU and exhibit processing for new tribes. MOU and exhibits should be in, and allocation letters will be sent out between July and November. Our goal with the welcome package, which has already been done for the tribes who have opted in at this point, is that they will be sent out at the point that a tribe opts in. Additionally, we have a requirement in statute for annual progress reports. And the one thing that we talked about through our consultation is that we would make sure we had templates and websites for that information to go into to make it easy as possible for tribes to opt in and provide that information. Opt-in deadline, absolute deadline, June 1, 2025, or is it June 30th, 2025? Which one, Erin?
30, June 30,
30th, okay.
2025 is your
I wanna
hard
make sure.
deadline. Yeah.
Okay, so that is the hard deadline. The absolute hard deadline, the final one to expend the funds in this allocation is June 30th, 2027. Yes, this one is a little different from our other programs, so maybe a little confusing, but absolutely different timelines. Any questions on this section? Or anything we've talked about so far?
Val, I want to just add something about the letter of interest. You all do not
Yeah.
have to wait until June 30th. If tomorrow or this evening you get the PowerPoint and you share it back, and your tribal organization says we want to do this, shoot us the email and we can start the process.
Good point. Really good point.
Again, just really want to start getting the funding flowing your way.
Yep. So we'll move on to the next slide. And Patrice, why don't you walk people through the STD 204?
You're on mute, Patrice.
You would think I knew the mute button to be on and off by now, but apparently not. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, great. So my name is Patrice Coleman, by the way. I am the project director for the Center for Excellence. I work alongside Erin and Valerie, at least until Valerie is officially retired this week. So congrats to her again. Anyway, so here is the STD 204, or the payee data record form that is required to receive these funds. I believe Erin mentioned that the STD 204, as long as it is or includes the same payee, you will not have to submit multiple 204s to opt into the Excellence in Family Finding program. So once we have received the 204 form and we send everything over to our grants and budgets area, they will do their portion of the processing to be able to get those funds allocated to you. So as you can see, the sections 1 through 5 are completed by the tribe itself and then can be emailed to the Center for Excellence mailbox. And as you can see, the section 6 is completed by our area, our staff people over at the Grants Management, or GMU, for the continued processing. Before I go forward, I just want to make sure this is straightforward for you all. Are there any questions on the 204 based on any information you see on the slide or what I've said?
There's a question in the chat, Patrice. Do we need to resend the same document if we have already sent one in for others such as TA, i.e. resend the same copy? No,
shouldn't have to.
you
No.
should not have to. I would acknowledge it might be helpful. But you don't have to. But if you have one and you feel like it'll give you assurance to just reattach it, fully acknowledge it could be helpful for us, but you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions on this portion? Okay, then we can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right, so this is the second half of the 204, which is basically giving us instructions on how to fill out the 204. So for instance, section 1, we are indicating the name of the tribe along with the tax ID number. You want to make sure we have your contact information as far as your address, city, state, etc. You'd also want to make sure that you check the box regarding the tribes are California residents. So as you can see, you only want to check one of those boxes there and include the payee representative or the person that is authorized to be able to sign the 204 so that we can proceed with processing that from GMU and get those funds allocated to you based on the budget that we have received from you all. Are there any questions on how to fill out the form? Okay, just want to make sure it is understandable, and we're just trying to make this process as smooth as possible for all of the tribes that would like to opt into the program. I'm not sure what is next. Caitlin, do you want to go ahead and go into the next slide, please? Okay. Valor, Aaron, did you want to take over for the allocation letters?
Yes, I can certainly take that on, Patrice. After you have done all of this and gotten it back to us, you will receive an allocation letter. As you see on the right side of the screen, or maybe your left side, but on my right side of the screen, you have a draft of what that letter looks like. In there, the allocation letter will come from our children's allocation program. It will give you the amount of your general fund dollar for this program. So that is the point in which you go, okay, I now can put this on my books. I know how much money my tribe is receiving for this activity. Questions on this before we move to the final slides? Is the allocated amount related to the amount the tribe provides in a budget? So that's the question that Tamara has. So there is specific funds that are allocated for the program. And yes, the budget is a part of what makes that determination. But also after June of 2025, there will be a reallocation and there will be an allocation letter at that point too. So we use allocation letters to tell you what your allocated amount is, whether it's standard amount that it's automatic and that's just what you're going to get until the reallocation, but we do both. In this situation, we've asked for your budget so that we can put other questions on the allocation.
Valerie,
Again,
I don't
that's
know if others didn't hear you, but you beeped out right as you were finishing your final sentence. Yeah, do you mind kind of
okay.
stating the last part of what you just said about after you submit a budget, what happens?
After you submit your budget, we will go through, because remember the amount of money that is allocated for this program is 7.5 million. That is for the entire timeline. That is not just an annual amount. So unlike our other programs, this is your budget for that entire cycle. So when you get an allocation, that allocation is going to be based on all those who have opted in up to the point that you are involved, you have been involved or you requested your budget. And then at the end of June 2025, when everybody has opted in, there will be a reallocation. Okay? And that would be a discussion for a consultation on that reallocation methodology. Other questions on this? Okay, next slide.
Sorry, Valerie, I was just scrolling through to see, and it looks like Clayton had their hand up. Clayton, did you still have
Okay.
a question?
Yes, I did. So the allocation letter that we received for our TAH, the general fund amount is what you're referring to, that's on this letter?
Correct. That's a different allocation for a different program. So that's the allocation letter you got for the TAW program. So the EFFES is a different allocation that you will receive. The sample that's in here is a TAW one because that was the one that was sent out. But yes, that's exactly the same letter. It will just have the EFFES. Any other hands that I missed, Caitlin? And thank you for catching that.
That is all I'm seeing right now. I'll let you know if any others come up though.
Okay. Okay, next slide. Invoices. Patrice. Was this you or me?
I thought that was you, but I can take
Okay.
over. All right, so as you can see, here is a sample of the invoices. Tribes can request up to a 25% of the allocation quarterly, and that's inclusive of direct costs. And you want to make sure that you include the tribe's original MOU number, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the executed agreement. It is also included in your welcome packets that you will receive once you have opted into the program. We include the MOU number as well as the supplier ID information. And you want to make sure that the chairperson or the authorized signer certifies the amount and make sure the document is also signed by that authorized person to request the amounts. And as you can, like I said, there is a sample document right there that's being shown. Are there any questions on what the invoices entail or what is needed at this point in time? The information regarding invoices was also included in the welcome packet as well. There is a section on the all tribal leaders letters that went out that has the information regarding the invoices as well. So hopefully it answers your questions and the guidance is straightforward, but we are here to, answer any kind of questions you may have. Okay. All right. Were there any hands that I might have missed, Caitlin, that I can't see or no? Okay. Great. Then I guess we can. Oh, let's see. Oh, that's an old question. Okay. Then I guess we can move on forward. Thank you. Here is our data reporting requirements. So AB 179 does require that CDSS submit a summary report on the outcomes and program information to the legislature no later than March 1st of 2026. So the participating tribes must provide an annual data report to CDSS by July 31st of each fiscal year in which the funds are claimed. And the data reporting requirements are outlined in the exhibit that you all received, as well as in the all tribal leaders letter that I mentioned. And they're also in the ACL that was released as well. And there is a screen grab of the information that CDSS is looking for. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Valerie and Aaron, that this information can be pulled from CWS CMS. Am I mistaken on that?
Yeah, this will not always be pulled from CWSCMS. It's something that we will have a website for the tribes to put in the information on.
Okay.
And so the counties will be pulling some of their information from CWSCMS based on what they have put in there, but the vast majority will not either. They will need to utilize the link that we do or that we have and create for this program. And
Okay.
yes, we're aware that tribes don't have access to
Mhm.
CWSCMS, so we would pull whatever information we have available. Although what we're asking for in this particular program is not there.
Okay. So that helps and answers questions from Tamara as well as from Pitt River. That CWS CMS access is not needed and that CDSS will be pulling this type of information.
Right. But I think the important part for everybody is that CDSS will be providing a link to where the data is, the questions and the information will be stored that each tribe can put in there about their program so that we have their portion of it.
So additional point of clarification, you all will likely be tracking this internally, your data, because we acknowledge that folks do not have access to CWS CMS. And so a lot of this will just be kind of locally tracked for your programs. But we will be providing a link, an electronic link to like a survey where you can send it back to us.
Perfect. Thank you both. Okay, I think we can move on forward, Caitlin. All right. Aaron or Val, did you want to take over here or shall I continue?
Go ahead.
Perfect. So other updates and announcements. So as I mentioned a couple of times in the previous slides, we did send out welcome packets that included the all tribal leaders letter, as well as the invoice reference guide, the EFFES invoice template, as well as the EFFES advanced template. So if there are any questions related to any of the documents that are in the welcome packet, or just any questions in general, you'll feel free to contact the Center for Excellence mailbox. I know a lot of you have, and it's good that you are reaching out to us with any questions. We're happy to send you any needed information or any documents that you haven't received. Or if you would like to request any one-on-one TA, feel free to go ahead and reach out to us at that mailbox on the screen. With that being said, I'm not sure if that's the last slide or not, but we can move forward, Caitlin. Thank you. All right, so these are links to the resources, basically all of the information that we have provided throughout this 101, including the WIC code information, the ACL that was released, as well as the ATL. And we also have the Center for Excellence webpage that CDSS houses as well, that includes all of the documents and the FAQs that we've put together. We also included our UC Davis webpage that is also linked from CDSS's page. That page, oh, thank you, Aaron, for putting in the chat. That page houses all of our model information, TA information or registration, as well as various resources that the counties and the tribes are able to access and find useful. It's a wealth of information. So I encourage you all to take a look at that webpage, or both web pages, I should say. Otherwise, then we can go ahead and go to the next one. I think that was it, actually.
Real
All
quick,
right, so-
Patrice.
Yes.
Whitney, going back to your question about models, let me scroll back up. Models and TA. Hold on, Whitney, let me find it.
About technical assistance
Trainers
for
and TA
implementation.
for assistance. Yeah. So, and I apologize for not level setting at the beginning. So, bigger than just this funding stream, the administration in giving us funding to do this funding stream for you all, and also for the counties and probation departments. We also have created an actual Center for Excellence in Family Finding and Engagement. And the link I dropped in the chat is a link to the center's website, because the center is where all of our work that we are doing across the state is housed. And so you all have access to the center, counties, probation department, everybody can access the center, its trainings, its TA opportunities, its consultations. And it's important to the work we're doing here. So Whitney, if you utilize that link, you will see and I can actually, Caitlin, would it be okay if I shared my screen and kind of showed folks the website? Okay. If you all give me 1 second, I want to be able to really show you all this really important resource for this work specifically. Okay, so here is, if you click this link, you will find our dedicated website to all the work that we are doing via the Center for Excellence in Family Finding, Engagement, and Support. There are FAQs, there's a general overview, and I apologize for scrolling. I'm going to try to do it slowly so it doesn't hurt your eyes. You'll see some videos that we have created to orient folks to the work we're doing. You will see upcoming webinars and past webinars that highlight, some of our webinars are highlighting the different models that we're uplifting. So you'll see these coming down the way. And then you will also see, I'm going to scroll slowly, our past webinars, and you're able to watch them. And again, a lot of these are just orienting you all to the work that we are trying to uplift across the state and the different models. We did a really good recent one about trying to make, this isn't applicable for you all, but counties have a matching requirement. And so we did a webinar helping them understand how to make the matching work, creating system change, you know, when you're partnering with different service providers, how you help create a kin first culture. This is a really good resource for you all to use. And then you will see we have TA hours here. And if you can't remember how to reach us, this is another place for you to find the different websites for you all to ping us if you want targeted TA. You can also join the general Family Finding and Engagement TA hours. We have one tomorrow. You don't just have to, you can pop into any. If you want targeted, happy to meet with you all. If you want to join a general, you can come over there too. We have had folks join us there. We have created some micro learnings to again orient folks to the kin first culture that we are trying to embed across the whole state. These are quick one pagers to the different models we're uplifting, and then the letters that have come out. And we did some research behind how we got here, and these are some useful lit reviews and a system of change documents to help orient folks to the work that we're trying to do via the center. And so I wanted to share that with you all so you have that resource. And if there's something you feel the center is lacking, let us know. Would love to make sure that we're meeting everybody's needs. And so this is kind of, are there any tribal specific webinars? I don't think to date, but that doesn't mean there won't be. And if you have an idea in mind, send us an email, and we would love to work with anybody to make sure, again, we're really here to just make sure your needs are met. Tamara, also regarding, are you referring tribes to any third-party providers that are assisting with this work? We do not refer folks to anybody specifically. i.e. Center for Excellence TA providers. So TA providers are generally us or the Center for Excellence, which is housed at the UC Davis Family Resource Center. So they're kind of our backbone to get everything up and running. And so we have consultants, dedicated consultants at the at UC Davis who also support this work, and they're often in our TA calls. So folks can see who also they are working with when it comes to the TA. So it's just not us, the department, it is also the dedicated bodies that we have over at the Center for Excellence, the actual Center for Excellence. Tamara, did that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you. I was kind of thinking along the lines of like housing and homelessness uses change well. I was curious if you all had a similar resource, but I think you basically said not really. We're referring.
No.
Yeah.
I guess our third party is Davis, because they are the center. They are the backbone of the center.
Yeah, we are using UC Davis as our back and they are kind of the clearinghouse for all of the programs that we are using and places that we are helping. But when it comes to tribal information, we will gather information for wherever you help us as well. We also use the federal government and their partners to find out if there's more out there, and we'll continue to do that. Other questions throughout the entire conversation? And Erin, thank you for resetting that, because you're absolutely right. We didn't clarify that while we've been talking about the funding for excellence in family finding and funding and support that tribes can get for themselves, there's that whole other part of it where it's that collaborative for the learning piece of it. And so wanting to make sure it's clear that those two pieces are there. We failed to do that. So apologize to folks for that. And thank you for making sure we got that clarity. Are there other questions out there? Do we need to go back? Want to make sure that we're clear on what would be asked from the data standpoint and what we will be looking for. I know that got a little confusing for folks. Want to make sure that we're clear on that. And Caitlin, can you go back to that slide real quick on the reporting? So the data reporting, this is the information that would be required for tribes. Number of children that were served, number of children that were provided respite. This looks like it's all of the TOS stuff specifically? Or is this EFFES as well? So what we will do is make sure you have the link to the information. And tribes should receive that shortly after they've opted in. And we are now in March 1. So our data reporting requirements will be by July. And what typically will start to happen is that we will send out a link for you to put in the information that you need, and want to make sure we're addressing this. Nothing else on that. I think the most recent question that we have is have any tribes started to spend on this specific funding? And I'll have to ask Patrice and Erin on that one.
Not to my knowledge. From what I recall, I think the allocation letters went out 2 weeks ago. And so we haven't received any invoices yet.
Yep. So it's probably too new in the process for tribes to actually have submitted.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they haven't actually done the work and can't claim for it. It's just a little early in the process for when they receive that information. That makes sense. And Tamara asked, how far back can they go for claiming on their invoice? So the program start date was what? Was this
June 30th,
22?
2025 is the deadline.
No, how far back?
Oh,
Not forward. Yeah. So the start date of this program was July 1, 2023. Or is it 22? 23 is what I thought.
Probably 22, but we didn't get a lot of allocation letters out until 23.
Okay.
I mean, even for like counties and our probation partners.
Right. And so the funding, because this is a continuous funding, it can go back to that original date. So that would be July 1 of 2022. So Tamara, to answer your question, you can go back to July 1 of 2022 if that was our original start date. And I do believe that was the original start date that the statute authorized it.
So just for folks who are participating and for their own clarification, that means if they, even though they received an allocation letter just within the last 2 weeks, they could still use that allocation to reimburse themselves for activities all the way back to July 1, 2022, right?
Yes, as long as those activities were ones that fit the requirements of this funding, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. And I think that's the important part of it, is that the activity had to meet what the purpose of this funding is to go back to, and start claiming as soon as you possibly can for that. Caitlin, you can go ahead and go to the last slide again, for where we're just kind of talking question and answers and resource information. Want to make sure that everybody has that piece there and how to contact us. Center for Excellence at DSS. You also have a phone number there. We will reach out to you within a few days, frequently that same day. Other questions? Comments? Okay. Please, please, please reach out to us. If you have any questions, folks are very, very willing to help try to make this work for you all. Whatever you need, we will try to make sure we're addressing it as quickly as possible. Thank you
Hi,
all.
I'm not talking, I'm
and-
trying to mute this other meeting, so are you guys hearing the other meeting?
A little.
I
Okay.
didn't.
I'm trying to mute it. Okay, I'll figure it
Hear
out.
you, by the
I'll
way.
be right back.
You're on, not on mute.
Thank you, everyone. I want to appreciate you for your time. I apologize for the slideshow order. We'll make sure they're in the right order when you receive them. Appreciate your time. And like I said, feel free to reach out as needed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.